As an autistic woman, I realized that I prepared for adulthood, meaning there were quite a few things that I wanted to do before I said I'm an official adult, that I wanted to accomplish and like have knowledge of. And then I realized in my 30s, no adult was doing that. None. None of them were saying, oh, I'm not qualified. So when I met medical doctors, our therapists, our PhD people, anyone who did none of that, but they had or held position in life, I was like, how is this possible? And I would be talking to people who I knew at the time, and they would be like, why are you so into this? Or what's the problem? Because I thought you needed like actual maturity. I thought you needed actual growth. You, I thought it was more to this than it actually is, when really anyone can be an adult. I don't look at my life like a lot of people I'm noticing that's coming on my algorithm. It's, I don't feel like an adult. I feel way older than I actually am. I'm in my 40s. I feel like I'm 100 because I did a lot of preparation. I've lived a lot. I've lived a ton because the women I was around in my development when they were in their 40s, they were widows. So are divorced to where you were like their husband, they just never got with another guy. So I really did a lot of living on the front end because I was just like, yeah, when I get this age, I'm going to be pretty much my salt's going to be settled and I'm not doing this and that. And to see people wilding out later in life, and I'm just like, yeah, I never needed to do that. That was not something that appealed to me. And I guess because I watched other people, and it's not even, I guess, I watched and observed other people. I didn't like the way someone's telling me they felt from what those activities after. So it was just like, yeah, I'm not interested. And I didn't know. So many adults are just people who aged out. It's like you age out of a system. It's not that you made a plan to say, I'm going to accomplish these things by this time. A lot of people didn't have goals. And I think my internal dialogue and me having an imagination, there used to be shows on public broadcasting that talked about utilizing your imagination a lot in even writing. Writing in itself, that helps you with everything. Writing can deliver you from anything, journaling. And the reason why these kids don't know how to write and they took it out because they don't want these kids to be delivered or removed from struggle. I literally teach writing now, like handwriting and penmanship, and I receive gifts for that, to teach people's kids how to do that and utilize their imagination. Never did I think I'm going to be gifted stuff to teach people how to use something that I was like, I just thought everybody did this. And they don't. And it's not something that's childlike. You need that to be a visionary, to be a forecaster, to plan your life. You need imagination. And there's a lot of people who don't have dreams. And it was a movie where it's like you're taking it's something they call childhood essence or so, where they're like they were sucking it out of people like kids and giving it to another person. And I'm like, oh wow, so you don't have that. And I just didn't know. I am not a person, again, I say, I am not a person sitting here like, oh my God, who allowed me to be an adult? I've been an adult my entire life when I got here. That's what it's like to be a crystal child. I was parenting my parents. I was like, no. And I would do naive things because that's autism and I would be trusting, but I would be wise at the same time. So it was just be very an interesting thing to have a kid who says savant things and insightful things, and at the same time, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to give this person $5, who's homeless. And my dad would be like, you're not going to give anybody your money. They could do. And I would be like, you got to give to people. And I was not aware of all the ploys and the schemes of the world. And my father was because he was. And to be aware now, I'm just like, I don't have to say anything. I can just see the game of exploitation and keep it moving. But yeah, I feel very old. Is it anybody out there who feels old? I feel old. Like, I literally remember my childhood saying I'm going to be this way and to be the way that I saw other women be. And I'm like, did I envision this? Did I do this timeline where I said, I'm going to be a widow by this age? I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this already done. And here it is, I am. And I'm just like, did I plan this? And I'm reaching into my inner child and like, did you plan this? Did we plan this thing? Because it's not bad, but it's more like most of the people that I'm acquainted with, they're perishing because they're older. They're over 65. So when I meet people who are like millennials, like we'll say 36, 38, 39, or even in their 30s, I have nothing in common with them because I did a lot of my stuff early. Like, people are now having kids, people are now just getting married, people are now, and I'm just like, yeah, I've done this, I've done that, I've seen the world, I had a real escapism addiction. So I would catch a plane just to catch a plane. There was no Google. You could just go to the airport and say, hey, get me to the next thing, but I want to be back by this time. And they would find you a flight for a good price. And if you got on their first name basis, you could flirt a little. Next thing you know, you're on their little fly. You could be someone's person where you can fly for free or whatever it's called. I forget. But yeah, I didn't know. I was really thinking Indiana Jones. You got to be like an archaeologist and be just so like a wealth of knowledge and to see where the internet is and how people who know nothing can just say or spew some junk to people and people pay for it. I'm just like, I'm going to start selling something. I just don't know what, because then I got to stand behind it and stick to it. But I don't have a actual brand because I am very, if you've been with me and following me, you're going to be like, she is on something different every day. Even in this setting, you're like, I seen her in the same outfit, but she talked about 5 different things. And I did. And yeah, that's how it is. I don't just know one thing or just one idea, or it's not that I'm not open to new ideas. So I feel like as long as you're alive, you should still be learning. And even there's something called a mentalist, and they study like your behaviors and what you're doing. And I wonder what they think about autistic people because we don't follow the guidelines of when you look right or left in the perception of when you're recalling something or this or that. So I'm just like, this doesn't align. So this is why I'm always misread by people. This is why these polygraphs and investigations didn't go right because they were looking for me to do things I'm not doing. So I'm really just going over my life like, I've done this and that. And I've accomplished a lot. And here I am just like, okay, well, what's next? Well, knitting. I'm learning how to sew. I make floral arrangements. I teach the next kids who are like me. They need an out. And so handwriting is an out, imagination is an out because they can cage us in, but our minds will always be free.